Literally since I have sat down to film this video, there's just like construction that has just uprooted itself outside my window, so I'm very sorry if you're hearing that at any point throughout the video. Hey everyone, it's Morgan Yates, and today I'm gonna be doing a video answering all of you guys' questions about UNC Chapel Hill. I'm a senior there, and I get a lot of questions, especially this time of year, because I know a lot of you guys who are seniors in high school are working on your college applications. If this is the first video you're seeing on my channel, I hope that you will click the subscribe button. Everything I'm going to be going through, you guys submitted to me on my Snapchat, and I'm going to try to not make this 20 years long. So if you guys feel like I'm not going into enough detail about something, or you have further questions that maybe didn't get answered, feel free to just comment, and I will be getting back to you guys, and I can answer some further questions there. So go ahead and answer one question I got asked a lot, which was, what is a typical day there like? If you have not seen my day in the life of a UNC student video, I'm gonna have that linked up here, and that will just take you through my daily life. And I think I'm wearing this shirt there too, so don't judge. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and kick this off with the by far most popular question, and that was, how did I get into UNC Chapel Hill? How can you guys get in? How can you get in out of state? What are my tips for applying? What is the application process like? And what were factors that contributed to my acceptance, like SAT, GPA, etc.? To briefly try to summarize to you guys my tips for applying, or why I think I got in. So your application comes down to a few components, and obviously one would be the numbers. I was second in my class, so GPA was good in that regard. My SAT scores were high. I have no recollection of what my ACT score was. I believe my SAT score was a 2240 or 2280 or something. It's been a long, you go to college and you don't think about these numbers anymore, so it's been a while, but it was somewhere in that region, so my scores definitely helped me to get in. However, a lot of you guys, I got specific situation chats of you guys saying, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, but like my score on this is really low, but my GPA is good. And I would just say, yes, numbers are important for statistical purposes. They definitely sort through applications based on numbers. But what is really cool that has sort of been a shift, at least in conversation on campus, is the acknowledgement that everything about a person can't be measured by a number. You know, like someone's intelligence doesn't necessarily correlate to a score on a test. Universities do acknowledge that. The reason applications have so many components is so that they can complement each other. By no means did everyone who got in here have a perfect application in every single regard. So going on a little tangent, but I would just say, don't worry. Another thing that's gonna really help you is if you have leadership experience. I was the president of I don't even remember what I was the president of, some like, Science National Honor Society or something, I don't know. Volunteer experience helps, extracurriculars, clubs, just things you're involved in. If you're involved in sports, if you are really good at art and you do such and such with art or music, your essay is really your opportunity to shine. It's where you can stand out from, you know, from the resume they're reading and sort of like come to life, give a picture of yourself. I know one of the common app, I believe, prompts said something about if there's something that you feel like you didn't get to talk about on your application, here's the time to talk about it. I would say talk about absolutely anything that will make you stand out from as many other people applying as you can. In my case, I wrote an essay about YouTube. It was in the grassroots stage way back in high school, but I wrote about that. So, you know, if you have a YouTube channel, even if it's really small, that's a really great opportunity to talk about like content creation and self-branding and digital media. I don't know, you know, just tell them a story about the work you've put into that and what you've learned. Just try to really think about something that makes you really unique, something you're passionate about, something that you love. If you're still like, Morgan, I don't have anything that I can think of that wasn't already on my application, there's nothing that makes me really stand out, choose something that you've been involved in that may already be on your application that you really loved, and just expand upon that. For another one of my examples, I just expanded upon something that was already on my resume, which was that I went to the Governor's School of North Carolina, which was it's basically a summer school. This isn't like a fact by any means, but if you went to that, everyone says like, oh, that's your ticket into UNC, like they don't even read your application. I don't think that's true, but if you've been to something that has a lot of recognition attached to it, then I mean, anything like that's gonna help you. So a lot of you guys are asking how to get in out of state. However, even in state, it's challenging to get in state or out of state. I don't know, my advice is the same because you want your application to be the best it can be. So I hope in some way that sort of got at how I got in. I don't know if it did. If you have other questions, again, please comment them. Another thing I got asked a lot was when I was touring, what was it about this place that sold me here? And it's actually funny because everyone in my family, grandparents, parents, aunts, uncles, everyone is a Carolina fan. Any sports event, they always cheered for North Carolina. And Morgan, being the brat that I was, consistently cheered for any other team that was playing Carolina. So I toured UNC just because it made sense as an option. It's an in-state school, you know, cheaper for me. So I was touring it, came into this like not even with much of an open mind. I remember we were leaving and I hadn't really said anything to my parents, but I like really loved the tour, loved what I saw. And I think what it was, I went to a smaller private school. You know, I didn't go to some high school with a graduating class of 1,000. What drew me so much to UNC, I think, was its size and just the amount of things that are going on here at any given time. The academic diversity, the diversity of interests, the diversity of people, and just there are so many people here who are passionate and like crazy involved in so many different things. And so another question someone asked was, do I ever wish UNC were smaller? And my answer is absolutely not. I think it's just the right size. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll just leave it at that. It's never felt too big. I don't know. You walk around and you see people you know all the time. It's not like you like never recognize anyone, like you see your friends all the time. Another thing about Chapel Hill that's so cool is that Chapel Hill is really like the epitome of a college town. The whole downtown part of Chapel Hill is in the heart of campus, essentially. So basically everything cool that the city offers is in like, I mean, it's right there. So that's what sold me on it. It's just the rich history, such a like UNC fan culture, like our sports are amazing. I'll also insert a vlog if you want to see me going to Houston last year for the basketball national championship, because we're good. All right, so a couple questions that sort of go hand in hand. Some of you guys asked, is UNC that hard, or how hard are the classes? And then some other people asked, how could I have better prepared myself in high school for UNC? So is it that hard? Yes and no. The way that I could have better prepared myself in high school would have been to engage in things that challenged me more. You know, I took a bunch of AP classes in high school and whatever, but I never felt that high school was like I never felt this like big degree of stress like ever in my life. Like it wasn't that hard. You know what I'm saying? Like it was hard, but it wasn't like super challenging. With that said, it was a little bit of a shock when I came into my first semester freshman year. My first semester freshman year was my hardest semester ever, and that was just because I was not used to the workload. I was not used to having to read every word of the textbook. Just the degree of studying and projects and papers and everything was so much higher than anything I had done in high school. It was very hard. However, you adjust. At this moment in time, would I say that that UNC is necessarily hard? Not really. And I think a lot of people would agree with me on that. It's definitely not easy. And again, it depends on what classes you're taking. So looking at my own major and my classes I've taken, there have been some very easy classes, and there have been the hardest classes at all of UNC that I've taken. And for those of you who aren't aware, I'm a communications major on the media production track. But a side note, this won't be a lecture on grades, but at the end of the day, it's more worth it in any given situation in a class or high school or middle school, wherever you are, to focus on actually learning rather than getting a grade. Grades are okay. As a senior, I'm realizing, why did I try that hard? You know, because it really makes absolutely no difference once you get your degree at all, unless you're going to grad school or med school or whatever, but your girl isn't. So also on the note of just adjusting to college, I wish I would have been better prepared for, which now this is one of my favorite parts of UNC, but everyone here was the top person at their high school. You know, like I feel like all of you who end up at UNC one day or who go there currently, you know, you were one of the top people at your school. You had the great grades, you were involved in a bunch of things, you had all the leadership things, you know, like you had everything going for you. Subconsciously, I feel like all of us, you know, you're used to achieving. And so when you come to college here, that is every person here. And suddenly you aren't the smartest anymore. And suddenly you have 12 Einsteins in your class and you're confused about why they're even getting an undergrad degree when they could be like inventing the cure for cancer in their basement. And so my tip to any of you guys coming here, UNC can definitely be a place if you're insecure coming into school to really eat you up. If you are getting your self-worth from a place of your achievements and from comparison, A, unhealthy mentality in the first place, B, it's gonna destroy you if you go here or to a similar school because everyone is great, and suddenly when you don't rank at the top, that can be detrimental to your well-being if you again are finding your value as a person in that. So random tangent again, let's move on. Someone asked how large are classes? Hugely depends. If you're taking Bio 101, hundreds of people in there. A lot of just regular classes in your major or gen eds will be like 30 people, 40, I don't know, 20. All of my video classes have been 14 people. What's your best tip for doing well in college? do your research on professors before you enroll in a class. If you're not gonna go to class, which, you know, I'd recommend you go to class, but I mean, I definitely don't like always show up. You know, be smart about not going to class. You can skip class and not screw yourself over if you're doing the reading at home. I always do all of my reading if I'm not showing up. If I am showing up, in a lot of ways, you can be a time saver and not have to do the reading at home if the class is one where they're just lecturing you. I took a psych class last spring, did not even buy the textbook, got an A. You can be smart about doing all your work at home and doing all the work in class when in some situations you may be able to do one or the other. That's all I'm gonna say. Efficiency. Have fun in college. That's what I'm saying, you know, save some time for fun. Do you feel safe on campus? On campus, yes. When I lived in dorms, yes. Living off campus, no. And I actually mentioned this question to some of my roommates and they agreed as well. Off campus is just like kind of sketchy. If you live in apartments where you like drive to them, maybe not, but just like things that are walkable of campus, you get into some sketchy areas and like there's a lot of crime and stuff happens. You just hope for the best and you lock your door at night, and that's really all you can do. Next to last thing, just really quickly, I'm gonna shoot this off. Someone said best and worst UNC things. Worst, gen eds. That's really cool in one regard because it challenges you to think in different ways. You get exposure to a bunch of material that you wouldn't otherwise. All of the pros of gen eds are nice. If you're, you know, you're taking a few of them, not when you're taking like 15. Like gen eds, they suck. Best thing about UNC, being able to be inspired by watching everyone do their thing to the fullest degree, even though everyone is doing such different things and going down such different paths, like everyone is so invested in what they're doing. One person sort of sent me their situation and said, would you recommend moving across the country to go there? And my answer is a very easy, heck yes. I have yet to even hear of someone who came here and didn't like it. I highly encourage any of you guys watching to take the opportunity to come here. And that is all I have for you guys with this little Q&A. So please give this a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And again, if you're new here, I would love if you would subscribe. I'm gonna have my Twitter and Instagram linked below as well so that you guys can all follow me. And thank you for watching. I will see you next Saturday.